we can focus a little bit today on the Mrea moment. All right, I'm going to give a very 50,000-foot view overview, and then I'm going to hand it over to Candace to go into some detail today. So I'm going to assume that everyone has read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And if you have not, please do not raise your hand. Just go buy it and read it, and just read it and read it again. Okay.
Mark it up.
When we have a one of a kind, like I literally believe that Gary Keller is the Steve Jobs of real estate. Like Gary Keller is to real estate and the real estate industry, like Steve Jobs was to the technology and computer and design industry, right? And if Gary Keller put out a book where he spent years and years and years assembling a team to do research on best practices of millionaire real estate agents, like you either choose to read it or choose not to read it. Like I don't understand that. So let's just assume that you're going to choose to read it. Okay, then here is the crux of the book. Four models. Okay, first is the economic model. The economic model basically takes the number of dollars of income that you would like to make, which is hopefully rooted in a lot of soul searching and a lot of big thinking and a lot of consultation with your family and those that depend on you, etc. Right? And you're trying to figure out what is the purpose of this business and how much do I need to earn in order to achieve that. Then we use the economic model to determine a metric. Generally speaking, the metric is how many appointments do I need to go on such that enough people agree to work with me exclusively, such that I have enough closings.
Good morning.
Help enough buyers and sellers do what they want to do. Okay. So once we have that number, again, that's generally number of appointments, we move on to the second model, which is going to be primarily where we focus today, which is the lead generation model, which is basically, okay, great. So you're telling me I need 30 appointments this year? Where are all those people? Where am I going to find them? Okay, so we investigate, a long list of the ways that we can find opportunities, get into conversations and get into relationships with these people that have the opportunities, right? So we're going to go through a bunch of different ways to do that right now. As soon as that happens and you got a lot of stuff going on, the next model is the budget model, which is basically saying, how is the money being managed? Are we bringing in enough money? Are we spending money properly? What are the ratios? Should I be hiring staff? What should I be spending on technology and education and coaching, et cetera, right? Am I spending money appropriately? And am I investing money appropriately? And then finally, oh my gosh, this is kind of looking like a business here, right? Got lots of people coming in, lots of people coming out. We got money everywhere. We got things to do, full calendar, et cetera. Who's doing all this stuff, right? And that's the organizational model. Just like any business has an organizational model. They have the person that is let's say the owner, and then they may have the CEO, and then the general manager, and then the department head, and then all their people and the administrative staff and all that kind of stuff. So like, who's doing all the work, right? And today, you're doing all the work. Okay, now just the fact that you got a real estate license tells me, if I were to list the 400 tasks that a real estate agent's got to do from the meeting to the closing, guarantee you there's a couple of those things you don't like to do, right? And so ultimately we should be earmarking those things and saying, as soon as I have enough money or as soon as I know how to hire the right person, that's no longer going to be my job, right? And so we start to identify the tasks that we really enjoy and the tasks that we don't enjoy so much, and then we allow somebody else for that to become their job in the future. Okay, but this business is going to live and die by how many leads you have coming through the door. Okay. As I've said before, and as I've learned in hundreds of training classes, if I know there's exceptions to this, but in general, if your sales volume is $2 million or less, you have a lead issue. The only thing we need to be talking about is leads. If you had more leads, you'd have less of a problem. That's all we need to be speaking about. We don't need to be talking about smart plans or any of that. We need more leads. And so all of your efforts needs to be geared towards finding more people to speak to. So Candace is going to walk us through how to do that.
Yes, and I just want to start by saying, this is my favorite chapter in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Earn $1 Million.
Yep.
It's not so much, and I'm not gonna qualify that by saying I don't want things, because a new Audi e-tron would be on my bucket list, but I also want to do good in the world, and the more money I have, the more I can spread it around and make people's lives better. So that's my favorite chapter. It starts on page 119, and it walks through the models that Bill's. Oh, I've got my camera and my mic on. Okay, I'm using my business voice. It walks through the models that Bill just talked about, and it also talks about that most of us, and I have to say, when I got started in real estate, I didn't want to know about models. I just wanted to go out and make money. I wanted to go out and sell homes, look at pretty homes, work with great people, and make money. And I didn't have a business hat on. But what changed my business is when I started to understand that, like a lot of agents, and this is what it says in here: trust those who have lived before you. And most agents get into business because they're excited about implementing their own ideas and creativity, and they keep adding more to the mix. But what happens is you build a business that's not built on a foundational model, and it looks a little bit, I love this illustration, it looks a little bit like a hobo shack, and you just keep kind of adding a board here when it needs a board, you kind of fix it here when it needs a fix, a hole pops up, you fix that hole, and you constantly are building something that's not going to last. Whereas if you build it on foundational models, you can build it on something that's going to last. So some of those lead generation techniques that are proven, let me go back a little bit into the page 138, has all of the different prospecting and marketing ideas that you can use. Now, there are new ones that have been added to this, but I'll just go through some of these. You can do telemarketing. Now that's of course calling. And you could do for sale by owner, of course, expireds, just sold, just listed, past clients, allied resources, geographic farm area, apartments, corporations, builders, banks, third-party companies. The coach that I'm working with currently, her mother built her business by helping physicians build their businesses and buy their homes. And so what she did was, she knew they started out with a lot of debt. So she helped them find a place where they could live and by renting. And then they were able to, maybe after a couple of years, buy a starter home. But then her business took off because some of those physicians and dentists, all kinds of people in the medical world, nurses, they were able to buy bigger, better homes. And so she made quite a great living. And that was her niche, is just physicians. And she got really, really good at it. And I think the message here is, this is one. That's just all the things you can do in telemarketing. The biggest thing is to choose what you like, choose what you enjoy doing. And you've heard me say this message over and over again, and then stick with it. Just stick with it, get really good at it, make it prosper, because any one of these ideas somebody has prospered at. So it's not a matter of will it fail, it's a matter of will you work it enough that it will work for you. And if you get into it and you find that you don't like it, add something else.
Can you say that one more time? That was the nugget of the morning, y'all. You never know when it's going to come. That was the nugget of the morning. Say that, please, again.
Every single one of these things have been proven to work. Somebody has taken one of these things and made it work to a tremendous success. There are people who are earning millions of dollars using one or two of these things.
No, the next line you said.
And then the next line is, it's not that it won't work, it's will you work it enough that it works for you?
Right. And I had a great conversation with Loredana Wednesday, and she said something that obviously I knew this, but it was said in a way that I had never heard before, and I just thought it was such a great way of saying it. It's that people don't. It's not that they fail, it's that they give up too fast, right? So like if you're spending a couple of months planting a bunch of seeds and nothing's yet harvested, right? If you give up, then you're not even around to see when it does bloom, right? You just got to have faith, like Candace said, in the fact that if I do this stuff enough, and if I follow up with all the people that have asked me to follow up with them, then these flowers will bloom. Don't leave before the flowers bloom. Just keep planting seeds. Don't give up, right? Because your efforts have worked. They just haven't worked yet.
And it says it right back there in the beginning. Trust those who have lived before you. Trust those who have done it before you. So you don't have to trust that it works. It works. It's just a matter of will you stick it out. There's something, so I'll share a little personal story. Back when I was a flight attendant, back in the 80s, there was a show on TV called Dynasty. Does anybody remember that show? Yeah. So it was about some families in Atlanta who were in society, and they all had, I mean, lots and lots of, the women had lots and lots of jewelry, and they had just amazing lives. Their clothes were all designer clothes. And anyway, there was something that happened as in the flight attendant world, at least on Delta, and that was that girls would, because we were all young, and so girls would come on and they'd be like, I got engaged. And the bigger the ring, the more your guy was better, right? That it was like, oh, he must be a good catch, right? Because you've got a big ring. I called it the dynasty syndrome because I was like, yeah, it's not about the ring, guys. It's about the guy. And, you know, the financial situation can change. But I think I see that same thing going with new realtors. And it's a thing where it's, oh, somebody's doing that and they're having success. I'm going to gravitate toward that. Oh, I'm in this team meeting and there's a new idea. I'm going to do that this week. And next week, I'm going to do the next bright, shiny thing. So I call that the realtor dynasty syndrome. And I just want to say, if you can hear anything this morning, don't be that realtor. Be the realtor who sticks to it and gives something a real chance.
Yeah, well, there's one step in between that's really important to think through, which is when you have a plan, and everyone should be working their plan right now, particularly for 2022, then if a new idea comes into your world, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but it means you should go back to the plan and say, should this replace something else I've decided to do? Or is this a better return on investment? Or would I have more fun doing this than that? So don't add to it and spread yourself even more thin and start to spend more money that perhaps you haven't even earned yet. You should identify, say, okay, now that I have this new idea, and that seems to be proven as well, let's go revisit all of these ideas and decide which ones have the best ROI, or I'm looking forward to the most, and press hard on those rather than trying to press hard on all of it, because then it's going to be completely erratic and chaotic, and you're not going to have the discipline and the tenacity to continue to follow through. Like Lee Fox actually helped me with this idea many years ago, and you know I had a tendency to be that guy. I had a great idea to say, hey Lee, can you help me with this? Right? Hey Lee, I got this a new idea. Can you help me with this? And she came back at me and she said, Bill, what's the priority here? Right? Don't just give me stuff to do every day. Say, hey, I have a great idea and this is better than the one I gave you on Tuesday. So forget about the one I gave you on Tuesday and work this one instead. You see what I'm saying? So she was helping me identifying priorities, right? To say, hey, which one of these is the most important? Which one of these is going to get us to our goal fastest? That's the one I want to spend my time on, if that's cool with you. I said, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense. What do you think? You see what I'm saying? So there's like a moment of analysis before you write off something or before you allow it to become part of the plan.
I love that, Bill. Thank you for that. And I want to say there's nothing wrong as a new realtor to try different things to see what you like. But before you really make an investment into anything, or let me say this differently, when you do make an investment into something, stick with it. That's what I wanted to say. But you can try out things and see how you like them. You might try out open houses and be like, yeah, really, that's not my thing. I'd rather door knock. So anyway, I'm going to go to number two. Number two is face-to-face. So the number one is telemarketing and all the things you can do in telemarketing. Number two is face-to-face. That's allied resources, door-to-door canvassing. And I just want to say canvassing is when you go door to door and you offer something of value. Soliciting is when you go door to door and ask for something, like you're selling magazines or something like that. Soliciting can be illegal. Canvassing is not. Now, whether or not someone in a neighborhood perceives your canvassing as soliciting is another matter. But if all you've done is offer value, you're not going to get in trouble. Open houses, client parties, how fun is that? Did you know that when you have the sale of, say you're working with a buyer and they move into a new neighborhood, you could offer to host an open house for them, a housewarming, and invite all their new neighbors to meet them. All those new neighbors see you as somebody who's providing benefits. You could do light catering, you could do light hors d'oeuvres, you could do, you just make it within your budget. But that's a wonderful way to meet people, and it's fun. I mean, it's absolutely fun. And guess who you've secured as your client for life? That buyer, because realtors don't do that for people. Networking events. And as Bill has said often, and I've said often, when you go to a networking event, you're not going to get people, you're going to find out about people. So it's a matter of asking a lot of questions. I've been to networking events where everybody just wants to spill their thing, right? This is what I do, this is what I do. And nobody has heard anybody because they're all thinking about what they're going to say. So when you go to a networking event, make sure that you're really listening and you're really interested in that person. You will be the person who stands out, I promise you. Social functions and community events, Chamber of Commerce, Toastmasters, all different ways that you could do community volunteer. We've got some going on right now with providing meals for the first responders and for Thanksgiving, and also adopting a child for Christmas or children for Christmas. There are church events where you can serve Thanksgiving dinner. You could go, I know families that go to a food pantry and serve Thanksgiving dinner to homeless people. You can do all sorts of things, and you meet all kinds of people doing things like that. Seminars, you can partner with one of our vendors. For instance, if you wanted to do a first-time homebuyer seminar, you could partner with one of our lender allied or lender vendors, and they can help you with the part that people are going to be asking that you don't necessarily know a lot about, which is what type of loan is right for me. You could partner with an inspector to do what to look for in a house and do a seminar on that. You could partner with maybe a financial person and for people who have probate houses, inheritance homes. So there's all kinds of ways you can do seminars. You can do them lunch and learns where you go into a campus of an office, like some of the Windward Parkway has a lot of technology businesses, and a lot of them have campuses. You could go do a lunch and learn there, or you can do Zoom, right? Booths at events. You can always have a booth. Teaching and speaking opportunities. And then one of the coaches I had a few years ago, what they used to do is they used to partner up with a pet rescue, and they would sponsor an event where people could bring their animals, and the pet rescue could have their animals there. And they had a table where, they got to announce everything and, this is us, and talk about themselves. But they had a table where people could come by, and it basically had a sign on it that said, "Is your family expanding?" And it had a big picture of a dog. "Need a new home with a backyard? Talk to me." It was kind of like that. It was very cute. Marketing. So that's prospecting. Then there's marketing. Prospecting is proactive and direct. Marketing is proactive and indirect. Does everybody understand the difference between that?
Let's do a tiny bit more on that. So
okay.
The lion's share of people that get into the business, they're marketing thinking. They're thinking about marketing, right? And actually MREA suggests a marketing-based prospecting enhanced business. And MREA 2, it has basically suggested reversing that, right? To have a marketing-based and prospecting enhanced business. Basically, that means what now they're suggesting is you need a prospecting-based business. We don't have the luxury of putting out marketing messages and thinking and expecting the world to react to them. Okay, it's too crowded, right? There's billboards, there's radio ads, there's targeting on websites and all this kind of stuff. Like, there are people that are willing to spend more than you, and they will probably get better results than you from a marketing standpoint. The way that you're going to get more control over how many leads come into your funnel is by directly going after those people one-on-one, right? Which is prospecting. And I know you guys don't like hearing this sometimes, but that is calling them or knocking on their door or being right there in front of them. We have a tendency to think that marketing works, and these little marketing projects here and there, I'm going to put out some door knockers, or I'm going to, send 25 golden letters and expect my business to like explode. It's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's not going to work. It's just not scalable, right? Unless you have a ton of money, right? You've got to have some type of prospecting as a part of your plan, right? That way you take control over it, because you have control the entire way through. You have control over the message. You have control over who it gets to, how frequently it gets to them, and what the follow-up is. If you send out a golden letter, or you send out a just listed sign or whatever, you have control over what it looks like. But as soon as it leaves your hands, you have no control. Does that make sense?
I think that's really valid. And I think a lot of times it's a lot more comfortable to say, ooh, I'm going to sit back and market because I don't really have to talk to anybody.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It's more fun.
It feels like work. Does it ever?
But I'll share with you. So I'm gonna be a little transparent here. The reason I like this Earn a Million chapter is because I am motivated by the thought of money. I am motivated by checks, right? So my husband tells me all the time, he's like, don't calculate your commission before you've even worked with them. And I'm like, but that's what motivates me to do better for them. So I always calculate what the potential commission is. And when I prospected, that's what I always calculate. I'm like, if I talk to this many people, that's why I love the numbers of the economic model. If I talk to this many people, then I know that I can earn this much money. And that's motivating for me, because I know what that can do for my family. I know what that can do for other people. I know the good I can do in the world. It's not that I want a lot of things. It's just that, I don't know, that just motivates me. So if you're struggling with whether to market or prospect. But marketing can enhance prospecting, like Bill said. So some of the things you can do, and again, you can do neighborhood newspapers. Have you ever been to the grocery store and seen a realtor's face and information on the grocery cart? You know, that little flap that folds up on the grocery cart where you put your purse. So you can do things like that. You can have signs on your vehicle. You can have radio, magazines. It used to aggravate me like crazy when I'd be listening to a favorite Saturday morning radio and Rhonda Duffy would come on. Magazines, bus stop benches, billboards, yellow pages. We don't really have yellow pages anymore online, I guess. Television, grocery carts, moving vans. You can do promotional items. You were talking this morning, Heather and Donna, about magnets, calendars, etc. I'd probably use those items more into my database than sending them out willy-nilly to people. But there's people that do that and have done well with it, so I'm just not gonna judge that. Internet websites, direct mail, postcard campaigns, newsletter, just sold, just listed cards, special events cards, quarterly market updates. So you can do IVR and computer retrieval programs where you broadcast voice, email, and faxes on here. I'm going to say something else. Signs, directional signs, brochure boxes, name badges, logos, logo shirts, car signs, new releases, advice columns. I think I did the other morning. I was talking about different ways that you could build your presence, and blogging, or it was real estate on a budget, and blogging is one of the best ways. You can write down your thoughts. As you learn things, you can interview people, you can do all sorts of things, but blogging starts to brand you as somebody who knows, right? Same thing with the YouTube videos. Farming, you can do geographic or
So
demographic.
before we go on, let me give you just a couple of ideas on that, just a tiny bit more data. So blogging or doing videos could be, hey, today I'm going to grab a slide from the Chartmasters presentation and spend 30 seconds explaining what it means.
Thank you. Good idea.
Right. So here is a study. Let's say here's a slide of what happens when you price the home correctly versus what happens when you do not price the home correctly at the beginning and therefore have to make a price reduction in order to sell the home. Here's what happens from a days on market perspective. Here's what happens from a listing versus sales price perspective. Have more questions? Want to see a specific look for your neighborhood, right? Or would you like an equity analysis on your property to make sure that you're using your asset as efficiently as possible? Call me today, right? All these messages should have calls to action. Want this? Do this. Have questions? Call me, right? If you want this, this is what you have to do to get it, right? And basically what you're doing is you might not know everything about the real estate industry. That's okay. But this one sheet of paper, I know everything about this one sheet of paper. And I will tell you everything you want to know, right? So here's a slide that says, 72% of properties are selling at list price or above list price, right? Which indicates oftentimes multiple offers, right? It can be very stressful and very difficult sometimes with an average realtor to secure the home you want. Would you like to learn the 5 tips that I have to get multiple offer wins for my buyers? Let's talk, right? And that way you're giving, and then you're asking for those that want more information or have some specific private questions or whatever, reach out to me and we'll have a more serious conversation around it. So look for ways that you can become an expert, right? Maybe you grab the pest control guy and say, hey, what are some tips you have for the wintertime to keep pests out of the house? Or show me what wood rot looks like, or show me what termite damage looks like. And we can look, hey guys, if you see this in your home, you need to call a pest guy, right? Here's 3 ways to prevent this from happening. You see what I'm saying? There's just so many different angles you can go.
I love that. Thank you for that. It is. So the other thing you can do is you can do sponsorship. You can sponsor Little League. You can sponsor charities, like I was talking about with the pet rescue. You can sponsor community events. I don't know if you've ever been to a ball game, like the Braves ball game, and there's banners all across the outskirts of the field, and it's got sponsors' names on it. Same for our fall festival. We had sponsors on the invitation. They were advertised there. So when you think about marketing, this is the way I think about marketing. Marketing is a way to get your name. For instance, like billboards. Billboards are a way to get your name known. It doesn't necessarily generate business, but it gets you known. It starts to get people start to know who you are. Prospecting generates business. So those are kind of the things. And I wanted to talk about allied resources because I'm not sure everybody knows what allied resources are. So they comprise a very select subset of your MET group. They're individuals you either expect to do business with or you receive business leads with from every year. It's your core group of database. So in addition to marketing to them in the same manner as the MET group, you'd be meeting with each of them for a one-on-one meal, a visit, a party several times a year. Some of the most influential you would see as much as once a month. So for instance, Jonathan, I don't know if anybody has talked to him, but he offered to open his books. He's got buyer leads, right? He offered to open his books to somebody who would meet with him. And I have not done that, but I encourage each of you to do that, or any of you to do that, because he's an allied resource, and he's somebody that I think should be treated, because he's willing to give leads. He's somebody that could be treated as a very valuable member of your allied resource group. I have somebody that I've never done business with, but he has sent me referrals like you can't believe. And you better believe I take that person to lunch. I've had him over for dinner at our house. I treat him like family. And not just because he sends me leads, but because I enjoy spending time. My husband and I both consider him family, and we enjoy spending time with him. So any questions, any comments? On page 141, there's a foundational kind of system for how you're going to plan these. It starts on, and I want to stop because it's time for our one thing, but I would encourage you to go to 141. And this is an allied resource referral generating program. So this, as you're planning your business, Bill did a really good huddle this morning early, and it was about what we can be doing in December. And I really loved it because, for instance, yes, Lorinda, I'll give you the contact information. But basically figure out what you want to do next year. That's the economic model, right? How many homes do you want to sell? How many sellers? How many buyers? And then what do you need to support that? So for instance, do you need to buy 45 birthday cards so that you're ready to go? Buy those now so that next year you don't have to stress about, oh gosh, the birthday's tomorrow, I haven't sent it. Get it done. You could already address those birthday cards, have the stamps on them, and just put them in a tickler file. So all you have to do is stick them in the mail, right? Or use a service like Send Out Cards. If part of your marketing is going to be the golden letters, buy your envelopes, buy your stamps, unless you're going to hand deliver them. Figure out the neighborhoods you're going to market to each month. Do that in December so that next year is so much easier. You don't have to work so hard. You're working smarter. Use this month when there could be some time off, hopefully not, but there could be some time off, to really get your plan in place and get your supplies in place for next year. Bill, anything to add before we go to the one thing?
So I'm finalizing the, great job, by the way. Thank you for your preparations, as always. I'm finalizing the week at a glance with Luth right now. And I believe Wednesday, we are going to kind of do the same topic in here, which is how to set up your business for 2022, or basically this is a great time to be handling all the back end stuff.
Yep.
Not that you should not be using this time to generate business, but if you're saying to yourself, oh, it's the end of the year, everyone's like, I'll deal with you after the new year and all that. Don't just sleep on your business and get started again beginning of the year. Be doing all that planning and prep and practice and organization and, splitting up your database and all these kind of things now, so that you're building the machine that's going to help you get to where you want to be next year. So everything from financial planning to or budgetary planning and that kind of stuff for your business I'm talking about, and setting up the systems and making sure your presentations are all buttoned up and your research is all buttoned up and your lead gen strategies and your GPS and all that is figured out behind the scenes. We're going to be touching on all those ideas next week, most likely Wednesday, during morning huddle. All right, let's do a little roundabout like we've been doing. So when I call your name, you're going to tell me what you are up to today. What is the one thing, guys, one thing. What is the one thing that you will be doing today to move your business forward? Donna.
Today, I will be writing thank you notes to a group of social workers who I want to build my relationship with.
Beautiful. Lorinda. You're on mute.
Okay, there. I am sending out thank you letters as well to a group of people who helped me out last week in the medical field. So I'm dropping those off by one of the medical offices today.
Beautiful. All right, everyone. I know both of you guys know this, but everyone you write notes to obviously should be in the database.
Yes, sir.
Addresses and everything. All right, beautiful. Stacy, what are you working on today?
One thing is I am preparing for to host an open house tomorrow.
Great. Excellent.
Yes.
Jaleesa.
I'm getting ready to go out and have 20 or more conversations.
Beautiful. Love it. Tracy.
Okay. I need prospects. I need names.
Okay.
So I need to get clear about my current prospects that I have, and most of them are out of state. So I just kind of need some help with that.
All right, cool. I'll give everyone a minute or two when we're done today at the end of the call on some tips for that. Melissa. Candace.
I'm calling builders today, calling and vetting builders.
Beautiful. How many are you going to call?
I've got three that I'm interested in. Candace, if you find a builder that works in the Powder Springs area, can you share that with me?
I sure will.
Thank you.
I'm also probably going to join the Atlanta Builders Association or Greater Georgia Builder Association. There's two of them, but I'm going to join one of those today. And sorry for two things.
All right, and Antoine.
Yes. Well, my one thing today is I have a question about it. I want to get on the FMLS and I want to figure out how to reach out to those expired listings. I can prospect.
Cool. That's actually we're gonna touch on that too. So okay. For those, remember that FMLS is a super powerful tool. So if you don't feel like you know how to make dinner with FMLS, you need to go to some FMLS classes. Right? FMLS classes are free. They have a YouTube channel where they explain how to use all their products and all their technology features and all that. So that is just part of learning the tools, okay, that can help you. Now, let's just review two main concepts. The first is, as part of productivity coaching, we offer you a subscription to Vulcan 7. Okay, I'm going to put in the chat right now the website, and all these details are also on the PC resources page. So that's the website. Okay, that is the username, and that is the password. Okay, this is just for PC people. Okay, this service is about $350 per month normally. It is free for you. Okay, this is a resource that is basically the premier resource for sale by owners, expired listings, and withdrawn listings. There's lots of videos and training tools on their site, and you can go into their site and pull in for sale by owners, expireds, withdrawns. You can sort by how old they are, or how expensive they are, or what part of town they're in, or any of that kind of thing. It's updated every single day. It is a group account, so please don't move the data from one place to another. It's a shared group account, but you can log on from whatever system you want to log on to. Okay. Antoine, you can always get FSBOs expireds from FMLS, but a lot of times the agents are going to take out the owner's name. So if the listing is going to expire, they don't want the rest of the real estate community calling their old client. They want to make it difficult for them to call their old client as they should.
Figured that. I saw that a lot when looking at them. I'm like, it's just, there's never no client information as far as how to reach them.
Yeah, they're not going to make it easy for you. And that's the way they should be, quite frankly. But Vulcan does a lot of other stuff. They have like private investigator algorithms that track down this stuff.
Okay.
Right? So all that data is there. Okay.
Do you still need to scrub that against the do not call list, what's in Vulcan, or do they do that already?
Vulcan already has little indicators of whether they're in the do not call list or not.
Thank you.
Okay. And each number is individualized. So like if one person has 4 numbers and 2 of them are in the do not call list, that doesn't mean the other 2 you can call the other 2 if it's not indicated. Okay. The other service we offer is called Cole Resource Realty. Okay. This is also a shared account. However, they are a lot more particular about essentially having a bunch of people share the account. And so they're very particular on which IP addresses log in. So I, myself and my assistant basically run that. And if you would, this is for circle prospecting. So for example, if you wanted to, let's say, Tracy, you wanted to call people that live in a particular neighborhood and invite them to an open house, or you wanted to call them and say, hey, I'm working with a buyer, assuming this is real, right? Hey, I'm working with a buyer that wants to move into your community. I'm curious, have you thought about selling, right? Or who do you know that might consider selling? Or when it comes to real estate, who is it that you trust, right? You're basically just having that circle prospecting script. This is their name and their numbers, okay? This is not scrubbed against the do not call list, just so you know, okay? So there are people that may not be interested in this. You can put it through the system that Lee Fox sends out each month, which is an updated do not call list, and see if there is any type of if any of these names pop up. However, I think there's some gray area there. If I'm calling somebody and asking them if they want to go to an open house, I don't know if that's solicitation, honestly. I could make a pretty good argument for that. Okay. And if they stay on the phone with me and they're entertaining this conversation, and I ask them a question about if they know anyone in real estate, and they don't freak out, like, I don't think there's any problem there. Right? So I think you could dance around it a little bit, potentially. That's kind of the difference between canvassing and, what was the phrase you used, Candace?
Soliciting.
Soliciting, yeah. You see what I'm saying? So you could call and invite people to an open house. You could call and let people know that a home just listed and ask if they, know of anyone that wants to move to the area. Now that's a little closer to soliciting. You got to be very careful there. Okay. Do not check the do not call list. If you don't like making the calls, don't make them. Just go knock their door instead. Right. That's a whole lot more assertive anyway. Okay. That service, all you need to do is send me either the city and the neighborhood, and we will pull up the list and email it to you. Or you can send us an address and we will send you up to 1,500 homeowners that live closest to that address. All you got to do is send it to us. My assistant works 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. our time, Monday through Friday. So if you want that list in preparation for a certain time, please, understand she doesn't work late at night and she doesn't work on the weekends. Okay. And we can get that list to you turn time very quickly during the time she's working. Okay. Yes.
No questions. I do want to add one thing about the allied resources. Just remember, whenever everything is a two-way street, right? So that person that's helping you with referrals, it's important to pour into them and help them in whatever way they need to. So for instance, Jonathan loves to have a chance to quote home insurance, auto insurance, whatever it is. But just remember that it's a two-way street. In all relationships, if I could say anything, be reciprocal, right?
All right, perfect. Any other thoughts, questions, complaints, feedback, suggestions, anything you guys want to share today?
I just think it's funny you skipped me yesterday and you're about to skip me again today.
Really?
Melissa, what's your one thing?
I am so sorry. What is your one thing today, Melissa?
You're fine. Well,
you're right in the middle of my screen. I don't know why that happened.
That's probably why. I'm just preparing for my buyer meetings tomorrow, and I'm going door knocking for the first time. So just getting familiar with that area because I've never been in that area before, and it should be great.
All right.
Bill, what's your one thing?
My one thing is I'm catching up on the appointments that I committed to and did not actually execute on. I said I was going to do 4 appointments yesterday. I actually only did 2. So I'm going to do 4 today. The 2 I would normally do and 2 more. That is my plan. And that is, I have every intention of doing that. Just a quick note, Melissa, this is not targeted at you or anyone in particular, but just remember, crazy stuff going out there. Oftentimes I have like this much, kind of worriedness if, particularly women are going out by themselves and knocking on doors. Just please make sure you're being careful. Okay. Cool.
Oh yeah, we're going as a whole group tomorrow. So if anyone is interested in joining us, please feel free.
All right. I appreciate you stepping up and leading that charge. If you could put just a little bit of information on that in the chat, so anyone that might not be here that wants to participate can get more details. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you, Bill.